I talked to you about was the fact that
Yeah.
kind of I've gone off the boil a bit,
Yes.
right? Because the first 2 weeks, you know, it was like coming out after, you know, coming round one, all like fists flying, you know, and I feel that I've kind of exhausted myself a little bit, and I'm sitting in my corner thinking I don't really want to be a boxer anymore. I just wondered if you could give me any kind of advice on sort of like how to go headlong straight back into it, or maybe not headlong, maybe to pace myself a bit.
To find your breath for round two.
Yeah. I think.
After a while, the mystique wears off.
Yeah.
And you start to discover that you're an ordinary person and that monks are ordinary people.
Yeah.
And that there's not quite as much mystique about it as there was at first.
No, because it just becomes part of your new routine, doesn't it?
Intact. So what I then say is, now this is the really important moment, because you're going to move from the mystique to the mystical,
Right.
the truly mystical. And the gateway into the truly mystical is demanding. But if you can make the assumption that God wants to say something to you, you may suddenly catch with the ear of your heart an echo of something being said to you.
Yeah.
Now, that's a process of waiting. All that you should anticipate happening in the 6 weeks is that you will leave knowing you have begun a spiritual journey that will last you a lifetime.
Yeah.
And what you need to do now you've arrived at this really good point.
It's always a good point, isn't it? You always turn it into the positive. You never say, oh, well, you might as well go home then. You know, it's always conveniently a very good point, isn't it? My turning point.
Doesn't dissuade me from saying it 1 minute.
Okay.
What am I going to do with my hoard now?
Well, you can read those books. There's a couple of good ones in there.
Thank you. What am I going to do with all this lot?
There's a stopyard playing there, actually.
Oh, really? Well, I like that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That really is a good moment, because it means he's starting to leave behind the familiar. And it can be quite scary territory. And it's scary not just like psychotherapy is scary. It's scary because ultimately it's to do with meeting God. And that can be scary as well. So, but I hope that they'll feel enough confidence and support to realise that actually it's going to be okay, because it's going to be something to do with love. And while that may be a little bit difficult at first, actually, when you start to let go into that, it's deeply engaging and endlessly inviting.
The monks insist there should be no relaxation of the daily routine. The group must still attend matins each morning at 6:20. All make it on time, nearly every morning. Matins is followed by 5 more services: Lauds, midday prayers, Mass, Vespers, and finally Compline at 9 p.m. In between, they must observe periods of silence. In the mornings, they study, then practice Tai Chi, meditation or contemplative reading. They eat almost every meal in silence, and after lunch, there is manual work.
Hey, Gary, we can, because you like chopping things up, we can get on the bottom of this tree.
This afternoon, Gary, Anthony and Peter are being supervised in the garden by Father James.
We've got some extra.
He became a monk in his late 20s, giving up a career in teaching and the possibility of marriage.
You see, just turn it over, it turns over quite nicely, and then get these roots out. I just love the life. The most difficult thing, now here we go, the most difficult thing is trying to live in a community of guys.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the most difficult thing. They either don't like you sometimes, they disapprove of what you're doing, how you look, how you're dressed, how you walk, what you think, what you say, and somehow we've got to find it in our way to love our brothers.
Obviously, you said at one point, once you were in here for 4 years, you thought about, you know, am I going to get married, blah, 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 the chastity thing.
Oh, the chastity thing!
How do you guys deal with that? Because, I mean, come on. We all know that men wake up in the morning and they stand to attention and the rest of it, if we can put it that way.
Yeah. There was an old monk here who said that when asked, did he have any sexual desires,
Yeah.
said, one's sexual desires cease when the last nail is put in one's coffin.
Good answer.
And I think that's as good an answer as any.
You don't have to answer the question, James, but if you have a desire for a good bit of rumpy pumpy, and you know that you can't do it, you're celibate, we might as well come to the crunch of it. Would you beat the bishop?
Hopefully not.
Okay.
We'll leave the bishop alone.
I like. Yeah, good answer.
Get on with it.
But I mean, it's a good question.
Yeah.
How many other monks have you asked the question?
Well, you're
All
the
right,
first, yeah.
okay, good. Well,
Yeah.
well, let's go for it then.
Yeah.
There's something troubling us, I think, if we indulge in masturbation. And if we do, then
What do you think that
let's forget
something
about it
is?
and get on with the one's day the next day.
What do you think that something is? Just your interpretation of what it is.
I would say some trouble in trouble in the spirit, some spiritual trouble, some difficulty, some unresolved issue. Personally, it seems, touch wood, seems to become easier as time goes on.
Yeah.
But other people say, well, that's just a temporary phase. It'll get difficult again.
Yeah.
The rule of Saint Benedict demands that each person submit to the needs of the community. Transcending the ego is central to spiritual growth.
Support each other and discern the movement of the Spirit in our own hearts, in our communities, in our congregation and in the church. Learning to live with other people is a key part of learning about yourself. And it's a key part of your spirituality. Your spirituality is not just the bit in church. Your spirituality is the whole approach to life that you bring.
Two of the visitors feel insecure about their place in the group. Anthony fell out with Tony last week. And Gary, who's lived through long periods of isolation in prison, also feels vulnerable.
I see myself as that I don't fit into a group of people. The biggest part of it would be my paranoia. I think that everybody's always talking about me all the time. I'm afraid to leave a group of people because I'm petrified that they talk about me.
Have you found that increasing or decreasing during the 3 weeks here?
Twice in here it's increased, but that has only been for a short period of time.
Right.
I haven't had that fear in front of the monks for some reason.
Gary seems to thrive on sharing difficult experiences in a supportive atmosphere. He's frustrated that Anthony resists opening up.
I feel that he's feared to let down his defences in here, that he's got a lot of facades and masks up, and he doesn't seem to want to let any of them down. And I struggle with that there.
I just don't see why I have to tell you everything about me so quickly, because I've just found too often in the past you tell people too much about you, they have ammunition against you basically, and sorry, but that's the world we live in. People are like that, so I tend not to give anybody anything, or try not to.
Gary's antipathy towards Anthony looks set to disrupt the harmony of the whole group. His feelings erupt during an apparently innocuous daily religious discussion. First, he takes exception to the Roman Catholic approach to the Bible.
The Catholic Church has always said, traditionally, that our reading of the Bible should be guided by the Church. Our understanding should be guided by the Church to avoid the misuse of the text.
I disagree with that.
I knew I shouldn't have mentioned that, Gary.
The reasons why I disagree is this here, and all the things that you were talking about there, I really deeply disagree.
Right.
Because a lot of it is done, and the stuff that we're talking about is from an intellectual point of view.
Yes.
I once heard a pastor or a preacher say, the longest journey in life is from the mind to the heart, which is 18 inches.